program is brought to you by the Georgia Neurosurgical Institute. For over 50 years, rendering neurosurgical care to patients of all social conditions, treating complicated problems involving the brain, spine, spinal cord, and peripheral nerves, endeavoring to encourage quality care, medical research, innovation, and education on a local, national, and international basis.
Good evening. My name is Joe Sam Robinson. It's my pleasure to have with me tonight as my guest Tracy Knight, who is you're the executive director of the American Red Cross in Middle Georgia, are you not,
Correct.
Tracy?
Red Cross.
And welcome. We were just having a little discussion earlier about your journey through life that brought you here. And you grew up in Florida, is that right?
I did, born and raised in Florida.
Well, good. And you came to Mercer for...
I did. I came to Mercer in 2000 to attend graduate school.
And then you've assumed responsibility for the Red Cross here, is that right?
Correct.
And that's a pretty formidable task, is it not?
Yes.
Okay, now Tracy, maybe I've mentioned this to you. We always ask about your children and your family, and can you tell us about that?
I've got two children. Hudson is 5 and Avery is 2.
And are they easy to contain? Does Hudson cause trouble? He's a 5-year-old boy.
He's a boy.
Well, good. So we're happy to mention Hudson tonight. Well, actually, the Red Cross has many responsibilities, and we were talking a little bit earlier about the start of that extraordinary organization in Switzerland in the 1860s, and isn't there something about the cross and the Red Cross and the Swiss flag?
Well, the similarity.
Yes.
Between our brand and the Swiss flag.
So on a Swiss Army knife, you can see the red background and the white cross.
Right.
And the Red Cross is exactly the reverse.
Right. The red background. I mean the white background and the Red Cross.
Right. So the connection with Switzerland is pretty strong. A neutral country in the middle of Europe, and the idea of the Red Cross is really kind of a neutral, humanistic organization,
yes.
is it not?
Yes. Neutrality is a large part of our mission. Due to the fact the time that we began and the various wars going on and our connection to serving the military in those wars.
Yes, and so really, I mean, that's how the Red Cross started. Actually, I think the idea was that in wartime, the soldiers and sailors were just neglected. There was no one that could look after them, and the idea was to have the Red Cross basically be the intermediary between warring nations. So that if someone is in a prisoner of war camp, the Red Cross is the organization that tries to look after those people.
Yes, and the Red Cross is an international organization. Of course, American Red Cross is our Red Cross here in our nation that Clara Barton began.
Now, who was Clara Barton?
She was a nurse.
A nurse that's good. I like nurses.
She was a nurse in the military.
Yes.
And she started the Red Cross movement in the United States.
Yes, and so really, is one of your tasks to look after the military?
Correct.
Can you tell me about that? What
so,
exactly is?
So locally, what we're doing with our military is we are what is considered an emergency communicator. So for example, someone serving in our military, whether it be overseas or somewhere in the States, one of their family members has an emergency, then the Red Cross serves as that emergency communicator. We have the ability to get in touch with that service man or woman's commander. We verify the information because there's a lot of casework that goes along with verifying that emergency situation, speaking to the physician if it's a medical emergency. And we will assist in any way that we can on getting that person home, and sometimes that's financial assistance.
Well, that's an extraordinarily good thing, and actually I've had, in my professional life, it's certainly not uncommon. The Red Cross, they're the adjudicator to bring members home when they have a loved one that's sick, and the American Red Cross has been doing that for a long time too.
For a very long time. unfortunately, in times of loss from one
Yes,
of our,
right.
our local servicemen
Yes,
or
yes.
women, the Red Cross also works as a support system for that family. Some financial assistance
yes.
is provided if needed during that for
Yes,
funeral
yes.
arrangements as well.
Wow, and so that's just one small thing
That's
you do.
one
We
small
can
part.
just go through a list
That's
of the
right.
good things you do.
That's right. We support our military. Recently, with various National Guard units
Yes,
locally
yes.
departing and
Yes.
returning. We support families while their loved ones
Yes,
are
yes.
overseas.
And I think from my reading, occasionally I've read stories about people in prisoner of war camps.
Right.
And the thing that keeps have kept these men and women alive are the packages, and the Red Cross is trying to arrange for communication with their families and get them some food. Is that true enough?
That's correct.
And
Yes.
that's an internationally recognized
Yes.
Arrangement.
Yes.
And the Red Cross are in Christian countries, and the Red Crescent is in Islamic countries. Is that right?
Yes.
Is there some kind of big international collaboration and cooperation between the these different areas?
You'll see that mostly in the international disasters, and most recently Haiti
Yes.
is probably the last large international disaster where all the Red Crosses came together
Yes,
to assist
yes.
in that country.
And another thing I think I've seen is in the Hurricane Katrina, the big hurricanes, huge national disasters. Does the
Right.
Red Cross have a role in that? And
Oh, absolutely. On a large scale, those disasters occur, and the Red Cross, our mission is to provide shelter, food, and clothing
Yes.
After a disaster.
And so that's you're a private organization that does that. Is that correct? You're outside the FEMA or the federal government.
Correct.
So
We're a
you're
nonprofit. Yes.
Now, let's see. Do you get a big check from the government every
No,
so
we
often,
don't.
Tracy? No.
The American Red Cross does not receive any federal funding.
Really?
We have remained open, and locally we've remained open since 1914. We are the Central Georgia chapter is the first chapter.
Well, how
founded in
about
Georgia.
a little history?
Right,
We were
right.
going through Switzerland a little
Right.
earlier, but something closer to home. What about the Middle Georgia
Right.
chapter?
So we are the first chapter,
Yes.
the oldest chapter,
Really?
in
In
the state of Georgia.
Wow, right here in
And
Macon,
that's
Georgia.
right. And we have been able to continue serving the community due to the generosity of our local community.
Really. Wow. And so is there a relationship between the local organization and the national organization, or how does that work exactly?
Oh, absolutely. The Red Cross, because of our history and our brand
Yes.
and the importance of our mission,
Right.
we are connected to national. So in other words, we all want to make sure every single chapter,
Yes.
we all want to offer the same amount of support
Right.
to our communities. So we are definitely guided
Yes.
by our national organization. Our national organization provides us with support, IT
Yes, yes,
assistance.
yes.
It's just a very close relationship between all the chapters and then NHQ.
Wow, and I think in these days when people are, the idea that a private organization could do something like this is fairly extraordinary. I mean, many people imagine the government is going to take care of everyone, but here is an organization that's been in our country for generations, and it does that. It looks after people of every origin. Is that right?
That's right.
Anyone has
Neutrality, absolutely.
It's totally neutral.
Right. So on the disaster side
Yes.
of things,
Yes.
if someone, let's say, loses a home as a
Yes.
result of
Yes.
as a fire, because
Yes.
thank goodness we see larger disasters around Central Georgia
Yes.
once every couple of years.
Yes.
But on a daily basis, our amazing volunteers are out there serving families that have just lost everything as a result of a
yes.
fire, of a
Yes,
house fire.
yes.
We average one every 30 hours, one
Really?
fire every 30
Is
hours
that
in this area.
In this area?
This
in
area,
Middle Georgia? Really?
Yes, it is.
So does your phone, tell me what you do when this happens, Tracy. Your phone
we have
rings?
a
what-
partnership
Yes.
with the fire departments in all the 22
Yes.
counties that we serve.
Yes.
And they will contact the Red Cross and the volunteer on call,
Yes,
no matter
yes.
what time, day or night.
Now, volunteer, do you have volunteers?
We do. That's the only way we can function and respond to one fire every 30 hours.
How many, what is your, if I can use this phrase, workforce like? Do you have some paid personnel, and you've got a lot of volunteers, is that right?
Right. So we have 8 paid staff
Yes.
and over 100 volunteers.
Wow,
And
that's
we
extraordinary,
Could, we
isn't it?
could really, we hope to double that.
Really?
We really need to double that. But our volunteers are passionate about the mission, and they respond
Yes,
to
yes,
these disasters,
yes.
to these fires, and they are on the scene
Yes.
with the family.
Wow.
And they are just letting the family know
Yes,
you don't need to worry about a roof over your head.
yes, yes, wow.
We
Isn't that
take care of that. We'll provide you with food, and we provide you
Wow.
with clothing. Now,
Wow.
we are not long-term. We
Yes.
are, our mission, we were
Yes.
created to do the first 3 days after
Right,
a disaster,
right, yes,
support
yes,
the
right,
individual
right,
the first 3
right.
days. But then beyond that, we have partnerships with various organizations within the community that we can then do some casework
Yes,
and refer
yes,
the family
yes.
to.
So you're constantly trying to do good. I must say that's really commendable. I mean, I think these days knavery is so much in evidence. All kinds of one hears the story about bad people doing bad things, or even good people that are really bad inside. But it's great to see an organization that you can just say this is a good organization. It does good things.
Absolutely.
And if you've done a lot over the years. And you're seeking other missions? Are there Red Cross hospitals out there in different countries? I think there may be. Is that right? You have different places around the world?
Yes, we have, and this was active during Haiti. We have medical ships, Red Cross ships.
Yes.
So after Haiti, we staffed, and this
Yes.
was all volunteers.
Yes.
We staffed our medical ship.
Yes.
Left from Miami.
Yes.
and went to Haiti.
Well, in a wartime setting, I mean, the Red Cross are put on hospital ships.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is that really sort of can you speak about that? It might be have American sailors on board, and there's a big Red Cross on it. Is that can you speak about that? Is it a neutral arrangement, or the Red Cross involved with that, or?
Right. Just serving as a support system.
Yes.
With the military, that emergency communication.
Yes.
There's some medical side to
Right,
it
right.
with blood. With Haiti, there were some medications
Yes,
that
yes.
we were able to bring over. And
Now, are
supply
you
them
ready
into
for that? You're ready for disasters? Do you have big warehouses full of what you need
We
to
do
go?
throughout the world. We do, and in fact, with Katrina, with Haiti, those warehouses closest to
right.
the area of disaster is what's accessed and
Yes,
brought.
yes.
On a local level, we have volunteers that decide early on in their involvement with the Red Cross that they want to deploy.
Yes.
So you can work locally,
Yes.
but you can also decide that you want to deploy to these large national and international
Wow,
disasters,
wow.
and you're trained.
There's some special training for that.
Exactly, and you're trained to do that, and you give the Red Cross a 2 or 3 week commitment
Yes,
during that
yes.
time. And we, on a local level, we know who our deployable volunteers are. We call them at a moment's
Yes,
notice.
yes.
They're at the chapter within a couple of hours
Yes,
and
yes.
off to
Wow,
the
wow.
disaster.
Wow, that's extraordinary. Now, you mentioned blood earlier, and that's one of the major things the Red Cross does. And I think you're in charge of the nation's blood supply. Is that correct?
Correct.
Wow, what an extraordinary task and honor that is. So all the people that receive blood and their lives are saved, the Red Cross, you're the purveyors of the blood.
Absolutely. We save lives every day.
Wow, wow. Well, I'm going to, at this point, I don't know if we can do this, but I'm going to show some pictures. We'll see if anyone is out there to do that. Let's see, these are pictures when my wife and I gave blood recently. I'm just going to show, oh, there are people.
Oh, okay.
All right, and I just want to show some of the nice ladies that gave some, that actually took some blood, a nice jolly group there, and so that was fun. And I'm just going to, I don't know if we have another picture of my wife. I'm going to show my wife there. So we're giving blood. If that's there, I don't know if it'll be there. We'll see if it turns up. And then, oh, that's me. There I am. All right, I'm giving blood. I just want to communicate to the this part of the people. This is a good idea. Even an old guy like me can give blood. And
Absolutely.
I learned, I mean, if in case it's not known, that there's no limit to your age in giving blood. So many people just continue to do that, and that's a good thing. And maybe it's my beautiful wife's pictures there. Are we going to show that one? So, there's my wife. So they're both of us. So ladies can do this too, and they actually tend to do maybe very frequently. Ladies do this, and this is a really important thing for the whole situation. Repeat donors every 56 days. Mm-hmm. Can you speak about some of the blood shortages and some of the issues that we face here?
So currently, there is a call for blood.
Yes.
And that's due to our unusual winter that our friends in the north and northeast have experienced.
Yes.
And multiple blood drives have had to be canceled as a result of this. So our supply is low.
Yes.
We are really pushing and asking for individuals to please go out to their local blood drive or blood services office and give blood.
And I think churches do this too. Am I right? Are they some of your big allies in getting the blood drive?
Right. We have blood drives all over the central Georgia area. Majority of time at the churches.
Yes.
And then, of course, we have our standing office in Macon over on Bloomfield.
I must say we had a very jolly crew there, like say all those nice ladies, and a very sort of friendly, happy place to give blood. And it's really not a particularly painful thing to do.
It's not overly time consuming.
It's just it's a very nice thing to do. You can give it every 56 days. And I'll speak as a physician here slightly, but it's one of the things that happens is in a state of nature, the idea is that you have a little extra blood, if one wants to say that. So generally the hematocrit that people have, the amount of blood they have, is a little on the excessive side because it would be anticipated that saber-tooth taggers would take a bite out of your leg occasionally, and there'd be some blood loss. So really, in a state of nature, the blood runs a little lower than in a safe environment like we have now. So it's not altogether unhealthy to give blood. So some people worry about that. And you kind of check things out quite well, do you not? I mean, you're not going to let anyone be injured by giving blood.
No, and there's some basic background paperwork that's done initially. So the staff and medical staff and nurses at whether it be the blood drive or at the office can confirm that you are okay to give blood.
Now I could put on my doctor hat and talk a lot about how important this is. I mean, and there's just no way that people can live many times without access to blood. They just have to have it, and there's an extraordinary apparatus to get that blood to them, and it's just absolutely life-saving. I mean, and if anyone that's been in a circumstance whether either they or their family members have needed it, I think they're appreciative forever. And I mean, that's fair enough. And we see patients, particularly out of the blue. I mean, there's somebody out there that might be walking down the street. They could be struck by a car at or you name it, whatever circumstances exist. And there's suddenly this extraordinary need for blood, and the American Red Cross is there to get that blood to them.
Right, and not a week goes by that someone doesn't share a touching story with me about whether it be themselves or a family member that was saved through a Red Cross blood donation.
Yes, sure. And I mean, it's I think there have been efforts underway, I'll speak once again wearing my doctor hat, to find some appropriate artificial blood. So there have been different kinds of experiments performed, different ways to do it, and it's just still not a perfected thing. And it's an interesting kind of thing, isn't it? I mean, the idea that you would sort of give part of yourself to help another person, it's sort of a rather sacred religious thing, is it not, to do that? I mean,
absolutely. It's just the intrinsic reward and feeling of knowing that you've saved a life.
Yes. And you have people in this area that have given, I mean, what's the record here? I mean, you have people, I mean, they've been doing it, very nice people here. And I mean, if I could give them a clap, well, we could give them a little clap here. Thank you out there if you've been one of those blood donors.
That's right, absolutely. We could not do it without our volunteers, our donors, whether that be through blood or monetary means. We would not survive without our local community and the good folks in it.
Yes. And keeping the blood supply safe, I mean, maybe we need a hematologist to discuss that. But the American Red Cross has very sophisticated methodologies to make certain the blood supply is kept safe. Is that right?
Absolutely, because there's very stringent rules behind that.
And I notice there's a problem if you lived too long in the UK. Is that right?
Correct.
And
correct.
What I mean, obviously some of our British cousins have lived there. And,
I know. And you know, the whole mad cow disease.
Yes.
And not knowing enough about it. So if you have a question about whether or not you can give blood because you were overseas at a certain time, they are more than willing to discuss that with you at the blood center and let you know whether or not you're eligible.
And I mean, I think we could say this too. Occasionally, I mean, I hear patients that feel they're reluctant to receive blood. I mean, sometimes they're for religious reasons.
Sure.
Other times, I mean, they're frightened that they might be infected with some unknown kind of, I guess, virus. But that's really what American Red Cross does, yeoman things to prevent that from happening. Is that correct?
Correct. And technology has just improved tremendously to allow us to prevent that from happening.
Yes. I don't know if there are any people maybe watching us that grew up in Britain, but it is a little interesting, isn't it, that if if the Brits, because you grew up there, your blood might not be acceptable. So I mean, I guess they'll just have to live with it.
Right, there are a few.
I know some of my British cousins might take umbrage at that.
What's wrong with my blood?
That's right. No, the blood is good. The blood is good. Well, the missions. How do you pick the missions, the Red Cross? I know that if you examine the history of your organization, it started out in wartime, the Franco-Prussian War. They're there to sort of minister to people. Then prison camps, blood supply. How did you get into these other issues?
So basic mission is the Red Cross is here to help people prevent, prepare for, and respond to emergencies.
Yes.
So that is through our military services, our emergency services, which is our disaster. And then that also filters down into what we call our educational services, which is all of our health and safety classes. That includes adult, infant, and child, first aid, CPR, AED training. Right now we've just started our lifeguard classes.
Oh, really?
Is that right?
Now, it seems to me, maybe I've heard about this in the past.
So this is an amazing
lifeguard class.
thing.
Why don't you discuss that, Tracy?
So all of our parents out there right now of teenagers or college students that might be listening, or teenagers and college students looking for a summer job. We offer lifeguard certification. It is 30 hours which I call them kids because
Yes, yes.
I'm older than that now. The kids can complete in a weekend.
Yes.
And they can then go out and find themselves summer jobs. And last year, all of our lifeguard participants had absolutely no problem getting out there and finding summer jobs at all of our pools, whether public or private, in the area. It's just a great way for our kids to make some summer money and learn responsibility, learn safety, learn how to save lives.
I'm persuaded. So one of the things that's sort of the broader mission of the Red Cross, you're constantly seeking out additional societal needs to move in and try and take care of it in a private fashion.
Right. Well, locally, on a local level, we brought back something that a health and safety class that has been around for a while, but not really adopted in this area. But it's pet first aid and CPR.
Okay, all right. Now let's talk about that.
Right.
Pet,
So,
Tracy, do you have some little animals at home?
I do.
What kind?
One of each, dog and cat.
Okay, all right. So what about pet safety?
So one of our board members last year, who was a very strong advocate, animal advocate, knew that in other chapters throughout the nation that this class was taught and it was quite popular. And years ago in this area, it wasn't quite as popular, so it just kind of phased out. Well, we brought it back and we did some media marketing with it. We have the dog mannequin and the cat mannequin, and so we are back on track, and we offer pet first aid and CPR, and we've had a variety of individuals attend that class, be it family members who want to know how to save their pet in an emergency, as well as local police, sheriff that use the dogs in their jobs.
Yes. Well, now, Tracy, we've talked about the many good things the Red Cross does, so I'm going to throw you a little pitch here. Maybe you can hit it back, but money. So the fact that the Red Cross does all these things and no taxpayer dollars routinely go to the Red Cross, is that right?
Correct.
So all that good work, and I might modestly say that in many ways they excel government services. I might modestly say that.
Well, thank you.
And this is the way the country works, is that right? You have devoted people that are private American citizens, and they go out and they help people. Well, tell me about how you are able to function. I mean, where does your money come from?
So we are a strong fundraising organization. That's how we've been able to serve our nation. And locally, we are a United Way agency, so we receive support from United Way. And we have amazing, loyal, individual and corporate supporters that assist us monetarily. There is a small revenue generator from our health and safety classes. We have 2 fundraisers a year, 2 events.
What are those?
So one is a new one and is coming up next month. March is Red Cross month. So
now you guys get that plug out.
That's right.
March
hopefully you'll be hearing more about us, and we've got some special things going on in March. The first one is what we're going to call Friends of Clara event.
This is Clara Barton.
Correct.
The nurse, right?
Correct, and this is an event focused on our local women who have a giving nature and want to come and support our mission. We have a luncheon March 22nd.
Oh, great.
At the Macon chapter, which if you've never seen it, is beautiful. You've got to come see it. We're in a very historic home off Vineville Avenue, and just the structure and the beauty of it. We encourage everyone to come by and visit us. Also in March, some local restaurants are supporting us by giving us 10% of sales in honor of Red Cross Month. We'll have a Super CPR Saturday.
Yes.
On March 12th.
Wow.
For our community citizens
yes.
To come in and learn CPR. And let's see, we've got in May, we started this last year, and it's a Heroes Breakfast. And we honor local heroes.
Well, Tracy, I'm going to have to sort of say, were there world enough in time, all the good things that Red Cross does. But may I say, you're a very worthy representative of that noble organization, and thank you so much for being with us tonight, and we hope to talk some more about your good works.
Thank you
so much. Thank you.
This program is brought to you by the Georgia Neurosurgical Institute. For over 50 years, rendering neurosurgical care to patients of all social conditions, treating complicated problems involving the brain, spine, spinal cord, and peripheral nerves, endeavoring to encourage quality care, medical research, innovation, and education on a local, national, and international basis.